The premise of Skull Canyon Ski Fest is simple. You have 3 days to ski the slopes as best you can, to carve up those moguls and powder that snow better than your fellow vacationers. Yeah, because you're all on vacation here, but you want to have the best vacation. And you can only have the best vacation by skiing the most slopes and soaking the most in the hot tubs afterwards. From a gameplay comparison, if you want a game that provides a fun twist on games like Ticket to Ride and Parks and kind of mashes them together, then pay attention to this review. Because it's fun and it does those things. But make sure you don't anger the Yeti or the mountain may come crashing down upon your heads. Here's how you play. At the beginning of the game, you will randomize what sort of weather you'll be having on the various days and flip them over. For this example, well, we have sunny, rainy, and snowy, just so we get a little variety of all three. You want it to be sunny though, because then you'll have more resources to do more things. What are those resources? Well, they are these slope cards. You can see there's a number of different slope cards. They come in 3 colors, red, yellow, and blue, and they also come with a variety of shapes. Now, in order to claim a route, to claim a sort of ski lift, you are going to want to play cards of a matching color or symbol according to the ski run. So for the easy ones, it only costs you 2. It'll get you 2 points, and you'll get 1 fame. For the intermediate, it'll cost you 4. It'll get you 4 points and 2 fame. And for the black diamonds, they cost you 7 of the same type, but it gets you 8 points, and you get 3 fame. Pretty good. Pretty good. So you can make those matches with color. We see I have 2 yellows. I can go down this little milk run here, sending my player all the way down and scoring 2 points. Also, since I was the first person to go down the milk run, well, I get to claim this milk run as my own child. You have to start paying child support for each of the, no, I'm just kidding. You can also claim that route with 2 of the same symbol. You can see here, I have 2 of the flag symbols, so I could have also played that into discard pile to go down the same route. Same symbol, same cards. Now, the flow of the game might seem familiar to you because on your turn you get to take 2 actions, and then everybody will get to take 2 actions, 2 actions, 2 actions, and 2 actions. You get a total of 8 actions for the day, and those actions can be paying for a lift, paying for a run and scoring those points, taking up to 2 cards from the display or from blind in the deck if you don't like the options, or riding up one of these lifts, because gravity only works one way. And so sometimes if you want to really get up to the black diamonds to go to black magic and ski that down, well, you'll have to take the turns to get there. In addition, as I fanned through, you may have also seen these Yeti cards. Yetis act as wild cards, and they're very similar to the Ticket to Ride locomotives. For if you want to draw cards and there's a Yeti card, well, you don't take 2 cards. You just take that 1 card. However, if you happen to draw a Yeti off the top of the deck, you don't have to tell anyone, and then you can proceed to take another card. And hopefully, it's another Yeti. Yeti cards serve as wild cards to help pad out those big plays whenever you want to go down one of those big black diamonds. And the added bonus is that if you play a card with 1 Yeti card in it, you get to move the Yeti. And in fact, you get to move the Yeti onto a spot where they block a run. So currently this skier cannot ski down that black magic run because the Yeti is blocking it, and they may have to ski down here instead. If you happen to play a run where there's 2 Yeti cards, well then, boom, an explosion occurs, and everybody has to slide down 1 run of their choice. If there's multiple options, they can slide down a run. They don't get to score that run, but they must slide down it. And so that's a way where you can sort of manipulate the board, stop your opponents from going down routes that you don't want. Well, why wouldn't you want them to go down routes other than stopping them from scoring points? Well, that's because over here, you're also fighting for this sort of area control game. The first person, as I said, to go down a route gets one of these tokens and gets to put it on there. But these can be taken over if somebody plays more cards to go down there. So if someone else were to come over to the milk run and were to play 3 of the same cards, let's just use these three as an example, these three trees. They're going, boom, I'm playing 3 cards. They ski down the milk run. They only score 2 points, but they would get to put their token over top of yours. And the person who has the most tokens showing on each of these gets these extra point bonuses at the end of the game. In addition, you'll see these little things that are on there. These encourage you to play a symbol because the symbols are always a little bit harder to get than the colors. There's only 3 colors and there's 5 symbols, I think. And so if you play with symbols like these forests, like that person did, you get double the fame reward. Now, why might you want fame? Well, because when the day is done and skiing is over, whoever was the closest to the chalet or skied down to the chalet first gets to put themselves in order here, and everybody kind of lines up. And then you get to take these extra chalet bonuses. See, this is set up for a 4-player game. On the other side of the board, it's a 2-player board with a few less routes. And what you get to do is very similar to something like Tokaido or Parks. You get to, in player order, choose where you're going to go, with the player in last place getting to take the next action and take these bonuses. These bonuses can get you fame. These bonuses can allow you to manipulate these things on the board. They can get you additional cards into your hand, which is huge. They can get you lift tickets, get you a free ride up. You don't have to waste one of your precious actions on riding the lift. You can cash in your lift ticket instead. And most importantly, when you get to the end, you have the option of buying gear. Gear is a one-time purchase, gives you victory points at the end, and gives you permanent abilities. For example, this stopwatch, when stealing a run, you may pay a fame to play 1 fewer card. So remember this instance right here, this player would have only needed to play 2 forests and not 3 forests to steal that from somebody else. So all of the gear is really good. And in the base game, this is the only place where you can purchase that gear. So you want to save up your fear, not your fear. I say fear because it kind of looks like the fear in Spirit Island. That's a tangent, but I think it does. You save up your glory, you spend it over here, and you get these powerful gear. Now, I say in the base game, not that there is an expansion, but there is a designer-approved variant. This has been posted on Board Game Geek. The designer actually contacted me and was like, hey, when you review this, because I mentioned it on a Rahdo list, top 10 list of games to buy because it was on sale at one point. And I said, yeah, this is a good game that hasn't gotten a lot of people talking about it. There's also another chance to purchase gear. You will see on the board there are a number of different lodges. Normally you have to start down here, but if it's winter, you can start at any lodge you want. If you are at a lodge at any point on your turn, you can spend 3 fame to purchase a lift ticket, thereby giving you another use for that fame, or you can purchase a gear card. There's going to be a market of gear cards that is up and that you can purchase. So it gives you more opportunities to interact with these asymmetric abilities, which I think should just be included in all future copies of the rulebook, and don't even put it as a Board Game Geek variant. I hope it is in future printings of the rulebook because it just helps flesh it out and gives you a bit more maneuverability, because nothing's worse than spending your whole turn going boop, boop, especially when someone then just triggers an avalanche explosion right afterwards. You just hate everything about it when that happens. Anyway, you do this 3 times, ski 3 days. At the end of the game, the person who has the most points through their runs, through their gear, and through their special bonuses over here wins the game. That's pretty much it. That's how you play Skull Mountain Ski Fest. And this is a really great alternative to Ticket to Ride. I think it is. I think Ticket to Ride isn't going to be dethroned by this by any measure. But if you have people in your life who love Ticket to Ride, like my parents love Ticket to Ride, it's probably their favorite game of all time. I've gotten them so many expansions for Christmas. This was one that I was very excited to introduce them to because of the ease of playing. The flow of the game feels very similar to Ticket to Ride. You are gathering up your cards in order to spend them as quickly as you can on routes, because the quicker you spend them on these different routes, the more tokens that you will claim, the higher chance you're going to get these giant rewards, right? And so the fact that it has that familiar flow of Ticket to Ride, plus the mechanic of Tokaido or Parks or Patchwork, where whoever's in last gets to go first, and taking these little worker placement spots, it provides a really nice flow for the game. This is one of those games where I prefer games that are more complex. I tend to skew, my own personal preferences tend to skew towards games that have a higher complexity level. And so I had played this a few times and then I put it on the shelf and I kind of forgot about it. And then I said, no, you know what? You promised a review of this. You have to get this to the table a little bit more and just dive back into it. It's one of those things where I put on the shelf and I forget that it's going to be good. And then I pull it out and I play it and I go, you know what? That was actually really fun. It plays pretty quickly. There's a low barrier to entry for complexity, and it works pretty much the same at all player counts. The only difference in a 4-player game versus a 3-player game is that these spaces are a little bit limited, and the only difference in a 3-player game to a 2-player game is, well, goodbye, my tokens. Goodbye, my tokens. Goodbye, my friend. Is that the map is a little bit less. You can see there's been some yetiing happening up in this top corner, and he's slowly taking over. I'm sure he's eaten the other 2 players as well. And you better get off this ski site. What are you doing? There are yetis around. They are going to block your path and take over everything. Run for your lives. And of course, this side of the board flips as well to change to that 2-player spot. And you can also see there's only 1 spot for each place, and so you have to be choosy about what you pick. But yeah, I think it's a neat little game, and I also think this is a game that sort of went really under the radar because it released during the pandemic. It's produced by Pandasaurus, and they always have very consistently like good production quality and good price points. I like the uniqueness of the theme as well. You have 2 little skiers and then you have 2 little snowboarders. So you can be cool and be a skier, or you can be a baby with a snowboard. You can tell that I was a skier, right? I'm not cool enough to have ever been a snowboarder. I don't have the pants for it. Yeah, but as far as this game goes and recommendations go, if you've grown tired of Ticket to Ride and yet you want something that feels familiar but different, I would opt for Skull Canyon Ski Fest. This gets a seal of approval from me. It does. It's kind of a surprise to me that it does. But I think it's pretty good. And I forget that it's pretty good. And even it's been, I don't know when I played this last, a month and a half, let's say. And so it's been a decent amount of time in between playing it that I pulled it out and I was thinking about what to say for this review, and I thought, I'm not quite sure. And then I pulled it out and I looked at the board and I remembered the joy, and I thought, you know what? It's simple, it's slick, it does what it does very well. And so for that, it gets a seal of approval from me. It's like a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. 3.75, 4 out of 5. Something along those lines. I think it is a decidedly quite nice game. And I think there are a lot of people who should have it on their shelves and would really gain a lot of enjoyment from it. Plus, it plays quicker than Ticket to Ride. This is 45 to 60 minutes on the box, and I agree. It plays snappy. It's really quick. I wasn't sure if I would enjoy the limited amount of actions, you know, especially where you only get to take 2 actions on your turn, and a lot of that is drawing cards. I kept thinking to myself, no, just let me do what I want. I want to be able to claim all the routes. I want to be able to claim everything. And that's not the type of game that this is, right? It's a game that forces you to make choices, that the limited time value here makes it so that you can't hit everything, and makes it so that you have to be strategic about fighting things off, and makes it when you use the Yeti to block off that route that someone's going to take from you, it feels very good. There's a lot of little things that you can do to help maneuver your own position around without it feeling like a mean game whatsoever, but enough interaction to make it feel fresh and fun, and 4 out of 5. Let's do it. Anyway, if you haven't heard of Skull Canyon Ski Fest and that sounds interesting to you, check it out. I think it's quite fun. You can probably get it for a pretty reasonable price as well. I've seen it for like, I don't know, when I did that top 10 for Rahdo's channel, it was on sale for like $37.50 or something like that. And for that price, just a really positive experience. I should double check the price right now to make sure I'm not leading you astray. Look at that, $37.89. It is just a hat rack, but sometimes it has some knowledge. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but pinch that little like button and go for a ski It's this seasonal time of year to talk about skiing games, and I also don't know of another skiing game as well. So it really gets points on theme, points on implementation, just a really solid, nice game. I'll catch you in the next one.